Okay. So today's topic is DHCP. Okay. Any idea about DHCP?
No, sir.
Which, yes, sir, it's dynamically dynamic host configuration protocol which assigns uh, IP addresses to the computers by itself,
Yeah,
or it's a service that assigns IP addresses.
exactly. So DHCP means, as the name itself says, it is the dynamic host configuration protocol. That means it dynamically configure the IP address to the computers over the network. Okay, basically it's a service or a protocol. Okay, so why do we need DHCP? I'll tell you. So there are two types of assignments, IP assignments. So if you want to make a computer available or present in the network, what we have to do, we have to assign the IP address to the computers. So there are two ways of assigning the IP address. One is manual assignment, another one is dynamic assignment. So manual assignment means we manually go to the network interface card and then add the IP address to each and every computer present in the network. That is called as manual assignment. Another one is dynamic assignment. So dynamic assignment means instead of us, some service will automatically assigns the IP address, and that service we call it as DHCP. Then why do we need DHCP, sir? Why can't we add manually? I'll tell you. See, if you have like 10, 20 computers in your office, it is okay to manage manually for 10, 20 computers. That's fine. And if in case you have more number of computers in the network, like 1,000 computers, 5,000 computers, that time it is not a feasible option, or it is not a viable option to log into each and every computer and assigns the IP address. So even if you assigns the IP address, there are chances of assigning the same IP address to the multiple computers. So if you add same IP address to the multiple computers, there will be a IP conflict. If there is an IP conflict, whatever computers are having the same IP address, both will not be there in the network. Okay, and another challenge is inventory. Inventory means how do you track who is using which IP address? Because when you assign the IP address manually, that IP address will be there for lifetime of the computer. In case of dynamic assignment, if an IP address given by a DHCP server, that won't be there for lifetime, it will be just there for the lease duration. So the lease duration means the amount of time the IP address will be given to the computer. So by default, the lease duration is 8 days. After 8 days, if you are not there in the network, that IP address will be automatically taken back to the DHCP server. And if somebody else comes and asks for an IP address, the same IP address will be given to the some other users. So the dynamic assignments will ease your job, will reduce the manual errors. It will help you to have an inventory automatically. Okay, these are all the advantages of the dynamic assignments. Okay, and the two things you have to take away here, manual assignment means it is the IP will be assigned for the lifetime of the computer. The computer till the computer is there, the IP address would be there until and unless you manually go and remove the IP address. So normally for the server computers, for the servers, we assign static IP address or manual assignment. If you manually assign the IP address, we will call that as a static IP address. Dynamic means why? Dynamic means the IPs are getting changed every 8 days after the lease duration change. That is why dynamic. Clear it is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the third one we have APIPA. I was explaining you when I was writing yesterday the IP address classes. Okay. So APIPA means it's automatic private IP address. Okay, it will be assigned by the operating system when there is an absence of the DHCP server. So you have a client computer. To the client computer, you have set to obtain the IP address dynamically. So if it is set to obtain the IP address dynamically, then the responsibility of that client computer is to detect the DHCP server and get the IP address by doing the negotiation. So sometimes what happens, you keep it for dynamic assignment, but the DHCP server will not be available over the network. In that network, maybe the DHCP server is shut down, or maybe there is a network glitch or something happened, so the client was not able to connect to the talk to the DHCP server. That time, the operating system itself will understand, oh, there is no DHCP server present, this client is struggling to get the IP address. Then what he will do, the operating system, he himself will assign an IP address. That assignment we will call it as APIPA, and that IP address will be starting with 169.254.x.y. So if an IP address that is starting with 169, that is called as APIPA. Clear?
Yes, yes, sir. Sir, in every class has a private IP range, right?
Yes, only
Yeah,
three
that,
classes. Only three classes.
yes, sir. Three. For
Yeah,
those can only for a static assignment. We have to choose one of them only. Or
exactly. No, you have
okay,
to see any IP address you can use it for static, no problem. Even it is a public IP also you can use that for a static one. But in your private assignment, you should use only private IP address.
okay, sir.
See,
Please means in real time. Is it for 8 days only, or it's
yeah,
depends?
see by default it will be 8 days. You can change it any days, even for 2 minutes, even for 1 year also you can put it. even
Okay,
even for 3 years also you can put it, no problem. So I'll show you today how to change the numbers and all. Okay, so
okay, sir.
that's about the IP assignment. Now let us understand even more about the responsibilities of the DHCP. Okay, so DHCP service will be responsible for assigning not only the IP address, also the related parameters. And yesterday I told you, if you just add the IP address, the computer will not be there in the network. You need to add IP address, subnet mask, default gateway. So these three information is very important to have the computer in the network. If you just add IP address, if you don't add subnet mask, or if you don't add default gateway, or if you wrongly enter some other subnet mask, some other gateway, the computer will not be there in the network. You will not be able to communicate with other computers, with the client computer or whatever computer you're talking about. Okay, so along with these three things, another parameter called DNS will be there. I told you, DNS means it's a resolution protocol. So that converts host name into IP address and IP address back to host name. Like you go to browser and browse www.facebook.com. What happens? The DNS will convert that www.facebook.com into some IP address like 192.168.1.10 example. Okay, if there is no resolution, okay, the computer will not be able to understand the name, the string. Okay, I told you, because computer will only understand the zeros and ones binaries. That is the reason we will put the IP address, the DNS. I mean, when you try with the name, the DNS will convert that to an IP address, and once that is done, we have this another protocols. Okay, the computer will convert that number into binaries and it will understand. Okay, so the responsibility of the DHCP server is to assign the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS address. These are the four mandatory things that we will send in the scope in the DHCP. Okay, so that's the responsibilities of the DHCP. Okay, so since we are talking about the responsibility. Now let us understand how we will send this responsibilities. How a computer will know what address, what subnet mask, what default gateway to be sent to the requester. So to explain that, what we have done, we have a concept called scope. What we will do, the scope is nothing but it's a parameter. Okay, we will create, it's an option or a parameter. What we will do, we will mention in the scope, say for example, the Bangalore office, you have Wi-Fi segment, you have guest segment, okay, you have delivery segment, okay, three Wi-Fi routers are there. If a guest comes, for them there is a separate Wi-Fi will be there. If you go to the conference hall, there is a separate Wi-Fi will be there. Okay, so what you will do, you will assign separate ranges to each and every network. Okay, if you go to the scope, you can enter what would be my first IP and what would be my last IP. Means what is the range of IP address that I can distribute. Okay, you can define that. Like starting IP should be 192.168.1.10 to 192.168.190 dot, or sorry, 1 dot 254. So there are 244 IP address is there, and you start assigning the IP address whoever comes and ask you. So in that range you will give the IP address. Along with that you'll give the subnet mask, default gateway, DNS address. The scope will also have the exclusion. Like now I said, right, only the client computers will have the dynamic IP address. Server printers, those will have the static IP address, because the we will normally access the printer, we will normally access the application by using this stat name or the IP address. Correct? Now if the IP addresses keep on changing, you will not be able to access the application and you will see the difficulties, right? That is the reason to use statically. What we can do, in that scope we can exclude some IP address. We can tell the DHCP server, hey DHCP, I am please exclude this 1.1 to 1.10, the first 10 IP address, because I'm using that IP address for printer, for router, for gateway, or for servers. Remaining 244 IP address you can assign to the client computers. So if you don't exclude, what happens? Say for example, you have used 192.168.1.1 to a router as a gateway. So DHCP, since it is given like 1 to 254, what happens? It may assign the same IP address at 1.1 to some other computer. Then there is a conflict. Correct, na? Router is also got 1.1, some computer also got 1.1. So that time I said it, there is IP conflict. If the IP conflict is there, that too especially with the router, if the IP conflict is there, none of the computer will have the communication. Okay, so that is the reason we will do exclusion. That's about the scope. Clear it is? Scope? I'll show you today, you'll understand better.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we will talk about the lease. So, how long this IP address and these parameters will be retained in the computer, sir? You may ask. So, assigning the IP address for a particular amount of time or a period of time, we will call it as leasing. Like normally, if you go for a leased house, either 2 years or 3 years, you can enjoy the facility or premises. You are paying something, and you are using that or utilizing that premises or the facility for 3 years. After 3 years, either you can renew it for another 3 years or you can vacate it. If you want to use it before 3 months only, you start talking to your owner and do the negotiations, or we are going to renew it, and you do the renewal. If you don't go and talk to the owner, what happens? He will think that you are vacating, and just after, I don't know, when you're ending of the lease duration, he will tell you to vacate. Correct? Na? The same thing happens here. So lease duration means assigning the IP address for a particular time, like for 8 days. Okay. So if the computer, what happens? So today you went to office Monday morning, you got an IP address, okay, like 192.168.1.10 or 1.11. You go tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you go to office. 3 days continuously you go to office. The same IP address is there. After some time, what happens? You decided to do work from home for a week. Okay. So already went 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days, 2 days, total 5 days. Another 1 week you're doing work from home. So 5 days plus 7 days, you're not coming to office. After 3 days of working, another 7 days you're not coming to office. Means 3 plus 7, 10 days. So 10 days means if you're not again coming back to the office within 8 days, or 6th and 7th day if you are not coming to the office, the DHCP will consider that this person is no more coming to office. He will take that 1.11 IP address back to the pool and it will reuse to some other user. Okay, that is how the lease works. Okay, clear about the leasing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, fine, sir. Now you understood about the assignment, responsibility, scope, and leasing. Now you may ask a question: how will a client computer will understand with who, with which computer I need to talk? Okay. For that, we have a process called DORA. So this DHCP works on a process called DORA. DORA means it is discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement. Means the computer will discover the presence of the DHCP server. Say, for example, you turn on a computer. Okay, you turn on a computer. Morning, you'll go to office, you'll turn on a computer. Okay, so this is your computer. So this is your computer. Okay, you power on the computer. Okay, then what it will do? It will discover the DHCP server presence. How it will discover? See, any DHCP server, it has got its different characteristics. Okay, what is the characteristics? So this DHCP server will always self-advertise, stating that I am a DHCP server, I am a DHCP server, I am a DHCP server. Like that, he will start sending the packets. Like if you go to any nearby to the any politician's home, you might have seen lot of flexes everywhere. You the flexes are there, correct na? So it is like a self advertisement, correct, right? The DHCP server also got the same characteristics. What it will do, it will just send a broadcast message stating that I am a DHCP server. I am a DHCP server. This is message packet, broadcast message packet. Okay, like that. So it is a broadcast packet. Broadcast means what? It is one to many. It will go in all the direction. It will go in all the direction. Broadcast means it will go in all the direction. So since the broadcast packet is there, it will just start going to the network. Within the network, all the packets will just go. So what happens when this client computer power on? Okay, he will detect this broadcast packet. Okay, he will discover this detect this broadcast packet and understand there is a presence of the DHCP server. Okay, that presence or discover, I mean, that is called as discovering. Say for example 192.168.1.10 is your DHCP server. It discovers the DHCP server and it will ask for an IP address. So then the DHCP server, it will tell, hey you please take. I have a range of IP address. Okay, it will tell I have like 192.168.1.11 to 1.254. There are 244 IP address are there. You take whatever IP address you want. Then this DHCP client, what it will do, he is a very disciplined person. What he will do, he will take the first free available IP address. He may take like 192.168.1.11 and he will tell, can I get this IP address? Like that he will request. Then the client DHCP server, what he will do, he will make a note of the MAC address of this computer. Okay, MAC address, you know, right? AABB 1C 1D 3B. Okay, this is the MAC address. He will make a entry of the MAC address here. Okay, and he will acknowledge, yes, I have given you this particular IP address for a lease duration of 8 days. That is called as the DORA process. Okay, I'll repeat. The DHCP works on a process called DORA. DORA is nothing but discover, offer, request, and acknowledgement. The DHCP server has a capability of sending the broadcast messages in the network. Those broadcast messages has got the DHCP server information and that packets will traverse all over the network. Then, as soon as a client computer power on, it will detect that broadcast message and it will understand the presence of the DHCP server, and he will get to know who's my DHCP server. Then he will ask for an IP address. He will discover the DHCP server and he will ask for an IP address. Then the DHCP server will give or offer the range of IP address available. Then the client computer will request for one single IP address and ask request the DHCP server. Then the DHCP server will acknowledge, okay, I'm going to give you, your computer name is computer 1, your MAC address is AABB1C1DCB. Okay, I am giving you 192.168.1.11. I am acknowledging you. So he will give the acknowledgement stating that I have given you this IP address for a certain lease duration. So this overall process we will call it as DORA. Clear? Very, very important. Understood, right? Yeah. So next is reservation. Okay. So reservation means, say for example, if you want, you need to have a, for some particular users or some particular computer, you need to have the same IP address always. If that is the case, what you do, you will reserve that one particular IP address for that computer. Your reservation will be done based on the MAC address, okay, the physical address. So to reserve, say for example, your manager is there or your boss is there, he's a VIP user. So you cannot every time go and ask his computer to make some changes. So instead, what you can do, you can assign say single IP address and you can connect remotely always. Okay, so reservation means assigning the IP address for a device permanently without the lease duration. That is called as reservation. I'll show you how to do that. So to do the reservation, you need to have the MAC address. Okay, and then the exclusion means excluding a range of IP address, okay, or a particular range of IP address to use it in a static usage. Okay, like I told you, like you have a range from 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.254. If you tell the DHCP server, it will start giving the IP address from 1 to 254, all the 254 IP address it will give. But you cannot use it for the static because it is given to the distribution. Even if you use it for static, there is a conflict will happen. Okay, to come out of the conflict, what you can do, you can tell to the DHCP server, don't assign the IP address, the starting 10 IP address. So 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.10 you don't assign. Then the DHCP server will start assigning from 1.11 to 1.254, that range. Okay, that is called as exclusion. You can do wherever you want, like not only that 1.10, 1.1 to 1.10, you can even do middle also, like 1.50 to 1.55. You can do multiple also, like one is 1.1 to 1.10, another one is 1.100 to 1.110. Like that you can do multiple exclusion in the middle also, no problem. Okay, then the DHCP works, okay, on the protocol called UDP. So UDP protocol 67 and 68, the DHCP works on. So 67 is a server port and the 68 is a client port. Okay, UDP means it's user datagram protocol. Okay, and we have another option called super scope. Super scope is nothing but we created the scope now. If you are clubbing two or more scope together, that is called as super scope. Super scope
Sir,
consists of
what?
two or more scope clubbed together. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, what is port in general means? Port. I
Port
have.
means, okay, good question. See, port is nothing but, if you see whenever there is a computer now, like, okay, I'll make it even more simple. So you have your own house, correct, right? You have your house. Your house has got
Yes.
multiple vents, correct? Na? Vents means what? Vents means what?
No, don't. Sir.
See, you have your house and your house has got multiple vents. Vents in the sense door. Door is also
Yes.
a vent. Window.
Okay.
Window is also a vent. correct na? And you have your ventilator, that is also vent. Chimney, that is also a vent. So different went to do different activities. You use door to come in and go out of the house. You will use window to get the light and air. You will use the vent to send all the bad air. You will put a chimney to send all the fog or smoke, correct, right? So the computer also has got different doors. Vents are nothing but doors, okay? So in the computer, you have around 65,555 ports. Okay. So 65,555 different doors are there. Doors. Okay. Each and every port will be used for a different purposes. Okay. So one of the port is 67, that is used by a DHCP. So if a client computer want to send or want to get the IP address in the firewall, you should tell port number 67 should be allowed. Say for example, you have a router, you have your client computer here. This is your DHCP server. So in between you may have some firewall, okay? This is your firewall. So in the firewall, what you have to do, you have to allow the port number 67, okay? Then you have the communication, okay? Otherwise, you will not be able to exchange the information and you will not be able to get the IP address. So basically, ports are nothing but the doors.
Okay.
That's all. Okay. So that's about the DHCP. I told you about everything almost. Okay, and see DHCP database will be stored in C drive Windows folder, and under that system 32, and there is a file called dhcp.mdb. DHCP means it is
Sir,
dynamic. Yep.
sir, yeah, can you please repeat UDP? UDP.
See, UDP is nothing but user datagram protocol. It is what, see, there are two kinds of protocols. Okay, one is TCP, another one is UDP.
Okay.
So TCP means it is transmission control protocol. Okay, versus UDP. UDP means it is user datagram protocol. So TCP means it is always connection oriented. Connection oriented means there should be physical connections. So we had earlier days, we had telephones, correct na? There you never had a chances of voice breaking, correct na? You may have
Yes,
a
sir.
disconnection, maybe somewhere the cable might have cut due to rain, but once you have the connectivity, you never faced the connection breaking, because that is using TCP. TCP means it's connection oriented protocol, and it will have end to end acknowledgement for each and every packet. UDP means it is user datagram protocol. This is used for the wireless. Nowadays we have mobile phones. If you don't have network, I'm simply speaking, you may not be able to listen, and just after you get the network, you will not be able to get the words whatever already spoken. You miss that, because in UDP there is no end to end acknowledgement. So the concept is, I'll tell you. Say for example, here two persons are there, receiver and sender. In case of TCP, if you are sending some information A, so this person will confirm you back, yes, I have received packet A. Then he will send packet B. Then he will send, yes, I have received packet B. Then you said packet C. Then the receiver sent, yes, I have received packet 3. So for each and every packet, you will have the acknowledgement stating that, yes, I have received the packet. But in case of UDP, it's not like that. Whether you are receiving it or not, I'm chumma sending, just sending packet A, packet B, packet C, packet D. I will not even bother this person is received it or not. The same thing happens when we are talking on phone. Whether you are listening or not, I'm chumma speaking. I never bother whether you are receiving the packet or not. Okay. That is called as UDP. Just go to the Google and see what is the difference between TCP and UDP. How TCP and UDP works. Watch it, you will understand better. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So dhcp.mdb is the database file. MDB means it's Microsoft database file. It's a file extension. Okay, and you have the logs, dhcp server.logs, to store all the transactional logs. I mean, who has given what IP address, what time has given. So that is log file will be there. That is also in the under the system32 folder only. Okay, you can even allow and deny some rules. You can create in the DHCP. Okay, allow and deny rules are nothing but um, like, say for example, some user will be there, he always go to office and he'll start download the torrent movies and all, and you want to block him. What you can do, you can take the MAC address of that particular computer and you can create a deny rule, so you will not be able to connect to the network at all. You can create such kind of rules. Okay, that is called as allow and deny rule. So with that, I think we are done with the DHCP. Okay, any question here? So theory we are done. So let us quickly start the practicals. Okay. So in order to configure the DHCP server, okay, what we have to do? We need we need to have uh, a server operating system. Okay. One second. So I'm installing the operating VMware tools now. Okay, it got installed and then restarting. So let me log into the computer now. Okay, send control alt delete PASSW audio at the rate 123. Then let me check the computer name. What is the computer name? So host name. So it is not proper. Okay, net sysdm. Okay, sysdm dot cpl. If you do, so it will just open the computer renaming option here. Click on change. You can put dc hyphen 01. Okay, you're going to add it. Because when you are installing this any services, now the server should have the static IP address. IP address should be static and proper naming should be there. I told you, right? And you have to check the uh, drives, how many drives are there, which time zone it is there. So all these things are the you have to double check actually. Hygienity. This is called hygiene of a server. So once the restart is done, the computer comes up. Then you can set the IP address static. Send control or delete, log in to this computer, PSSWRD at the rate 123. Now I'll make it full screen. Yep. So I'll go to network interface card ncpa.cpl. Double click on Ethernet 0, go to properties here, go to IP version 4 here, and see it is set to obtain an IP address automatically. I want this to be static. Then what I'll do, I'll click on this one. I'll use 192.192.168.1.10. Which class it is?
Class 3, class 3 IP.
It's class C private IP.
C. Okay, okay. Class C.
Okay, so see, subnet mask 255, 250, 255, gateway 192.168.190. Instead of 1.10, I'll make it 190.10. 190.1. Okay, fine. And in the DNS you can put, because I'll use the same server tomorrow for next week, for the Active Directory server and other services also. Okay, So I will use the same one. Okay. Now I am good. So now I have renamed the computer. I've added the IP address statically. Okay. So I've even installed the VMware tools. Okay. I am good with the thing. See, timings is there. Let me check the timing. I'll put it for IST. See, the time is 6:42 now. As soon as I plus minus 8 is there. Pacific US and Canada timing I put. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll put plus 5:30, our Indian timing. Okay. So you see how the time gets changed. Now from 6:42 p.m. to around 6 a.m. or 6:12 a.m. it will become. See, so 8:12 a.m. it becomes. See, 8:12 a.m. now. So it's good. So we are good now. So what we will do now, we need to configure the DHCP, right? So what we have to do, if you want to add any services in the server operating system, okay, you have to go to your server manager here. So this is your server manager. When you go to start or Windows button, if you click on tile, then you get this server manager. Click on the server manager. So normally as soon as you log into the server, this will come. Okay, so then it will give you multiple options. Okay, what is the multiple options? It says add roles and features, add other server to manage, create a server group, all these options. In our case, I wanted to add a role or a feature, okay, to convert this computer as a DHCP server. Click on add roles and features. Okay, and you have an option called next. Click on next. It is asking you what you want. You want to go with the role based or feature based installation, or you want to add another service called remote desktop service installation. I want to go with role based or feature based installation. I'll click on next. I'll click on DC01. Yes, my server is DC01, and here I used to use DHCP server. You need to select the DHCP server here. Click on the DHCP server, add feature, next, 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 and click on install. So now what are you doing? You are installing the DHCP role in this server to convert this as a DHCP server. Look here. Here you don't see the DHCP now. Okay, it will just come after disk and defragment. Nothing is there in the tools. Okay, but you see it will come here. If you to go to the tools, you don't see the DHCP, but it will come now. As soon as you are installing the completing the installation, there is a new tool will be installed called DHCP server. See, now it says complete the DHCP configuration. Configuration required, installation succeeded on DC01, and it is asking you to complete the DHCP configuration. Click on that and you just say commit, close. So now you can close this. Now if you go to tools and you see DHCP, see, previously you were only seeing two things, defragment and disk cleanup. Now you are also seeing the DHCP, correct, right? Click on DHCP. As soon as you click on DHCP, you can just expand it, and you see we were dealing with two versions of IP address. One is IP version 4, another one is IP version 6. And if you look at, it is an empty DHCP server and you don't see any scopes in that. So what you have to do, I told you, right, DHCP should have a scope, and the scope means it's a parameter. It will have start IP, end IP, reservation, exclusion, leases, everything, correct na? So how to do that? How to create a scope? So we are still dealing with the IP version 4. You can right click on the IP version 4 here, and you get multiple options here. Since you are getting multiple options, you can create on the new scope, because my intention is to create a new scope. So click on the new scope and you can set a name. Say for example you are giving some Bangalore Wi-Fi, okay, and the description you can put it some, Bangalore Wi-Fi users or something. And it is, see, it is asking you what is the range of IP address that I can give. You can tell like 192.168.2.0 to 2.1 sorry, 2.1 to 192.168.2.254, and it's a /24 IP address. Okay, that is the reason. Okay, so next, and it is asking, do you want to exclude a range? Exclude means, you see, exclusion or address a range of IP address that are not distributed by the server. A delay in the time duration by which the server will delay the transmission of a DHCP offer message. Okay, and it says if you want to exclude a range, you can put the start IP, end IP. If you want to put single IP, you can put single IP here. Here same one IP will be excluded, and the delay. This is what delay they are talking about. Okay, so you can mention how many milliseconds, 1000 milliseconds or 100 milliseconds, like 10 seconds. 100 milliseconds means 10 seconds. Okay, so click on next. I don't want to do anything here because I wanted to show you. And you see here, by default the least duration is coming 8 days. See, least duration should typically be equal to the average time the computer is connected to the same physical network. For mobile networks that consist mainly of portable computers or dial-up clients, shorter least duration can be useful. Likewise, for a stable network that consists mainly of desktop computers at fixed location, longer durations are more appropriate. Means, if you have a desktop computer which are not immovable, which are static, nobody will carry the desktop. Mobile device means laptops and mobile phones will be carried out here and there, right. So what they are telling, for the devices which you can carry like mobile phones, laptop, keeping the shorter least duration is good. For the for the computer which are there like desktop and all, for them you can keep little bit longer, not a problem. That's what they are telling. Okay, so least duration by default 8 days is there, but I'll show you later how can you change it. Now let me go with that. Next, and I want to configure this option. Yes, I want to configure the DHCP option. Then it is asking the router IP. You can give 192.168.2.1. Add. Next. And the DNS address, see, automatically it got detected 192.168.190.30. Parent domain you can put microsoft.com or google.com according to your domain name. Say next. Win server means before the DNS we had this Win server. It's a legacy service, we don't need it. Okay, yes, I want to activate the scope now. If you finish, you see a new scope got created with multiple options now. This is your Bangalore Wi-Fi router network. See, you see the address pool now. The address pool is like 192.168.2.1 to 192.168.2.254, and you see the symbol here, up and down symbol means it is a range of distribution. You see here, the address range for distribution is like 192.168.2.1 to 2.254. If you just right click on the scope and if you look at the statistics, display statistics here, see, it says you have total addresses are 254, in use is 0, available is 254. So that means all the 254 IP address you have set to distribute. Now you need to do some exclusion. If you go to the address pool here, right click and you see new exclusion range. I said from 1 to 10 I am going to exclude. Okay, like 192.168.2.1 to 192.168.2.10 I am going to exclude, add an exclusion. And you see here IP addresses excluded from the distribution from 2.1 to 2.10. So previously the statistics was telling 254 is in use, I mean total available 254 is in use. Now 0, see, now you see instead of 254 it is telling you 244, because from the total distribution list you have excluded 10 addresses for the static usage, that is called as exclusion. Okay, and if you look at the leases, what all addresses the lease, you can see here. The reservation, I told you, you can create the reservation. Just right click, create a new reservation, just give boss PC 2 dot, say for example 2.15 I'm giving, and it is asking some MAC ID. What I can do, I can just give it from the I'll just get this from here. Okay, cmd ip config slash all. See, I got some physical address here. Copy this one. So I'll go back to the VMware. Here I can just paste some MAC address. Okay, and I will just add it. See, now you have created a reservation for your boss PC. 2.15 is given. Now if you go to the address lists, you see one address. See, whatever you have reserved now, that one you can see 192.168.2.15. Name is your boss PC. Lease duration is inactive because lease is not there because you have reserved it. So if any computer comes and it is asking the IP address, it is obtaining the IP address, everything will just come here. You can export that to a CSV file and you can use that as an inventory. Okay,
Uh,
this is how you create the scope. Yep.
Sir, lease means for after every 8 days the IP will get changed, or if the user is inactive within 8 days, it will remove like
That's
it.
what I told you. I'll tell you. See, lease duration means the computer will never talk until unless it completes the 85% of the time. So you consider if it is 10 days lease duration, till
Yes.
8.5 days the computer will not check the whether the computer is present or not. Okay, after
Okay.
8.5 days it will just check. If the computer is available, it will renew it for another 8 days. If the
Okay,
computer is
sir.
not available after 8.5 days, it will one more time check 9 days. Okay, and after that 9 hours, 10, 20, 9 days, 20 hours, it will check one more time, 98% of the time. Then, if the computer is still not there, then it will take the IP address back and it will give the IP address to some other computer. That's all.
Okay.
So
Okay, sir.
basically, till it completes the 85% of the lifetime, at least duration, it will not talk to the client machine to renew. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you can create one more scope. You can create a new scope again. You can just tell Bangalore BNG hyphen guest. Okay. So address start IP is like 192.168.3.12, 192.168.3.254. This is fine. I don't want to explain anything. Leave duration you can just 10 days you can give. Okay, yes, I want to configure 192.168.3.1. This will be given by your network team. You don't need to worry about all these things. Okay, so you should know how to create. That's all. See, finish. Now you see there are two scopes. One is for Bangalore guest, another one is for Bangalore Wi-Fi. Okay, you see address pool. You see 3.1 to 3.254 statics. If you see, it is telling you 254 IP address. I was also talking about the lease duration. Now, how to change the lease duration? Just right click on the scope, go to properties, and you see here you have the 8 days. You can keep unlimited also like this. Or limited means you can keep, like say for example, so there is a conference happens at your office one Saturday or Sunday. So when the users, the users almost you are expecting around 200 users from multiple different offices. They are coming to your head office. First 100 users, they got the IP address and they are working fine. After 100 users or some users, people have started complaining you about, no, I'm not able to get the IP address. I'm not able to get the IP address. I'm unable to connect to the network. So what you do, you come and check the statistics here. Just right click and see the statistics. And it says total IP address is 244. Used is in use is 244. That means there is no IP address, free IP address at all. Because out of 254 IP address, almost around 100 users already took the IP address and they went back their home. They are doing work from home. The IP address is given to this computer. Correct na? And today 100 users came and they got the 100 users 100 IP address. Remaining 120 130 users, they are not getting the IP address. So what you can do, that scenario, you can just reduce the lease duration here. Go to properties and set this, instead of 8 days, keep it like 10 minutes. So what happens? Anything more than 10 minutes, if the computer is not present in the network, the IP address will be taken back to the pool, address pool here. Then the display status, if you see, the available IP address will be keep on increasing now. Then the users who is trying to connect, they get the IP address and they will be there in the network. Okay. So this is how this lease duration would be helpful, and this is all about the DHCP theory and practicals. Any questions?
No,
Yeah.
no, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi. I have one question.
Yeah.
So here is that